One of the most important things a customer success manager can do with their customer is define their goals. What is the reason why your customer purchased your software? What are they trying to achieve? How are they measuring success? A year from now, when they look back at the partnership, how will they know that they've been successful? Now, while this seems easy enough, oftentimes this is some of the most difficult work a CSM will have to do, because the person who decided to purchase the software, the person who said there's an issue in our business, there is a gap here we need to optimize for, whatever the case may be, that person is likely not the team that we're working with day in and day out. Now, while we really hope as customer success professionals that our sales partners ask that question in the sales process, it's likely that we didn't get a really crisp understanding of what that looks like and how we'll be able to define that success. Now, what I always recommend is start at the top, right? Go to the executive and ask that question, see if we can get that information from them directly. But if we can't, we've got to come up with some creative workarounds. So if you're new to my channel, my name is Christy Falteruso. Welcome. I am an award-winning customer success executive. I've spent the past 10 plus years in customer success, building, scaling, and transforming CS teams across the globe in B2B hypergrowth SaaS companies. I'm also currently the Chief Customer Officer at a company called Client Success. We are a customer success management solution, and we help our customers manage the entire post-initial sales lifecycle. So I know a thing or two about customer success. In today's episode, I want to focus our time on how do we help CSMs get access to that really challenging, burning question of how are our customers defining success with the partnership? So we've already established maybe our sales team got that answer and we've got a really, really solid foundation to build off of. Awesome. Maybe we were able to go directly to the executive when we kicked off the partnership and ask them directly. Great. But if you're a team who's working with your customer and you don't have access to the executive and you don't really have a clear understanding of how they're defining success, it's your job and it's your responsibility ultimately to help understand what that looks like. Because if we don't, how will we ever know if we get there? Now, at the end of your partnership, your customer is going to be assessing based off of, were we successful? Did I achieve my goals? Did we do what we set out to do? And so this is why this is so critical. And so if this is something that you're struggling with, let's talk about a few different options that might help you get access to these burning questions. So the first is help define what those objectives could be for your customers. One of the things that I've done with my team is create a set of 7 objectives. These are the real core reasons why customers purchase our product. These are the pain points that we solve for. And so we put those in front of our customers and we say, here's the 7 things that we know our technology solves for and that leaders like yourself or teams like yourself are trying to accomplish. Which of these is a top priority for you? Now, this is a really great framework to initiate the conversation. But if they select one of those objectives, be clear, that is not their goal. That is an objective that they're trying to achieve, but there's got to be a specific goal that we can measure, right? Think about a SMART goal framework. And so there we might say, awesome, we have an understanding that you want to mitigate risk is an example. Now, how will we know if we've mitigated risk? What are things that we can do together in this partnership to help you get there? Now, they might have some really clear idea of saying like, you know what, we need to understand which of our customers are at risk 6 months in advance of their renewals. That's great. That's getting us a little bit closer. Then we can start to hone in there and we can say, okay, great. Which customers we want to look at? Customers that are renewing right now, next quarter, 2 quarters out. How far in advance do we need that visibility so we can actually do something about it that will drive change? So these are the types of questions I will encourage the CSMs on my teams to ask just so we can get more clarity around it. Because again, it's not just enough to say we want to mitigate risk and my thing is I need to understand which of my customers are at risk. That is still not a very clear goal. So start with some objectives, ask some really pointed questions, and help guide your customers get there. The other thing that we advise is give your customers some examples if they're struggling. So one thing that we've done also that works really well is we've given our customers examples of other customers' goals, right? And they might not be specific, but we give them a framework so they can think about it through the lens of their business. So for example, if our customer says that mitigating risk is their objective, we might say, great, other customers who are also focused on mitigating risk, these are ways that they are defining success for this objective, like in this kind of category. And so we might pull up a slide on a screen and share it with them and say, here's 3 or 4 examples. Do any of these resonate with you, or these things that are priorities for your business? And start to see what they say. Now, of course, if you've given them examples, it's not going to be their exact goal, but now you have something to build off of, right? Now you've got a framework to say, great, now let's dig in. Now, what specifically in your business are you guys focused on, or what is your priority, or what are some things that you're doing to mitigate risk once we've identified this? Or if this is your top reason why customers are at risk today, how do we want to triage this? Is it due to product? Is it process? Is it experience? Like, what is the core driver there? And then how do we optimize for that? So there are some very specific pointed questions you can ask to help your customers get there and hopefully be able to define a very clear SMART goal. Now, something else that we've done that seems to be working well is asking some very specific questions. The one question that we've been asking teams that we seem to be getting some great responses around is asking them something like this. What is the one thing you can do in our technology that would justify the investment? Now, it seems easy enough, but really the framework of that question is getting our customers to think a little bit more tactically about how they use our technology to drive value for their business. Now, the minute we ask that question, I almost visibly see light bulbs going off. We see our customers start to think differently and say like, oh, okay, great. If I'm thinking about this partnership, what is the one thing that I can do in this technology from what I know of it that I would say, yeah, this is a huge success for us? And I'll tell you, the minute we ask that question, our customers start to come back with some really interesting responses. Now, the cool thing about the responses that we get is that they aren't specific to our product. They're more specific to their business. And that's what we want, right? That's the gold. So if we can get our customers to start to share with us what challenges they have in their business or what workflows they're trying to optimize, we can then start to think about it through the lens of our technology and say, great, here's how we can help you get there. Now, if you're like our team, we'll be maniacally focused on that goal and that workflow or that challenge so we can help our customers ultimately get to that state of success. Now, the last thing that we've started to do, which also seems to be helpful, is once we've identified that goal, once we've nailed that down with our customer, is ask them, we'd love to just share this with Bob or Mary or whomever that executive is and say, this is what the team has said is their way of defining success with this partnership. Would you agree that if we're able to do this together, that this would justify our investment, that the partnership would be a success, that when you look back, you'd be able to unequivocally say, yes, this partnership was a success, we're going to continue. And oftentimes that executive either feels like they're going to empower that team and say, yep, that feels good. If the team is defining success that way, that's great, we'll use that. Other times the leader will come in and say, that might be the way that team is defining success. However, I'm thinking about it through this lens, and here's what I would need to see. Now, what's really cool about that one, so the second response of like, yes, and, or yes, but, is that we now are getting our executive engaged and participating in a conversation around that success criteria. So once you've got some momentum there, we can start to follow up and say, oh, this is so helpful to us. Would you mind getting on a call with us quickly so we can just make sure that we've got this really clearly ironed out? Our success is your success. Getting this right is super critical to the partnership. And oftentimes that executive will jump on a call with us and say, yeah, I'll give you 15 minutes. I'll give you 30 minutes. Let's make sure that we're all on the same page here. And so that is a really eloquent way of getting access to that executive without overstepping or without making your team that you're working with feel like their contributions weren't valuable, right? Or that they weren't qualified to give you clarity around that goal or define success with you. So you've got to find ways to like not burn bridges, to not say to your team like, hey, you're not important because you're not the executive and we want the executive to lean in here. Everyone's thoughts and opinions are important here. In fact, helping your champion and the core team that you're working with be successful is going to lead to your success regardless of what the executive said. And I'll explain to you why. Usually the teams that you have access to, that you are working with, they're the ones that are heavily influencing the decision to continue the partnership or not, because they're the ones using it every day. And so, regardless of what the executive said, that's going to be important. And you're going to have to figure out a way to map back to that goal. But you're also going to have to help that core team achieve how, whatever it is that they're defining success, however they're defining it. So you're going to have to work towards both of those, and both will almost always guarantee that you're going to get that stickiness, that day-to-day value from the partnership, ultimately leading to that renewal and that growth over time. And hopefully that advocacy, right? Where we build raving fans and customers who are out there telling all of their friends, all their colleagues how wonderful the partnership is. So if you're struggling defining goals with your customers, hopefully these are a few ways that you can start to get them to articulate or step into that conversation a little bit more proactively. These are things that have worked with me and my team, and we're excited to see how they work with others.